If you're Canadian and you don't know whether you should be using a TFSA or an RRSP first, this video is going to save you years of mistakes. Choosing the wrong account can end up costing you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in growth or taxes. The good news is, the decision is actually pretty simple once you understand a few basics. A couple videos ago, I went through my entire Wealthsimple portfolio where I showcased my TFSA and my RRSP, but in this video, I wanted to go through the exact framework that I used when deciding which one I should prioritize. So let's start off with the most basic question. What is a TFSA? A TFSA stands for a tax-free savings account. What this means is that you take your after-tax dollars and invest it into this account, and whatever money grows within that account, you're able to pull that out in the future tax-free. So, for example, let's say you've invested $1,000 in your TFSA. Several years down the road, that $1,000 grows and turns into $5,000. When you decide that you want to withdraw that $5,000 from your TFSA, you can do so without having to pay any taxes on that $4,000 that you made. Which is actually crazy if you think about it, because the government taxes us on literally anything and everything they can. So to be able to utilize an account like this where we can grow our money tax-free is super beneficial. Now, there's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to your TFSA, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it because I'm going to make more videos where I go more in-depth on the TFSA and RRSP, but for this video, there's just a couple rules that you have to know. The first one is that there are contribution limits. Because this account is so beneficial, the government limits the amount of money you're able to invest into it every year with contribution limits. However, when you pull money out of your TFSA, you do get that contribution room back the following year. And that's important to note because that is a difference between the TFSA and the RRSP, but we'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so we have a rough understanding of what a TFSA is. What is an RRSP? An RRSP is simply your retirement savings account. Now again, there's a bunch of rules and regulations when it comes to RRSPs, but we're going to go more in depth on that in future videos. For today, we just want to understand a couple of basics. The first thing to note is that there are contribution limits with an RRSP, just like a TFSA. However, it works a little bit differently, but we're not going to get into that right now. What's more important is to understand that when you invest into your RRSP, that money is actually tax deductible. Technically, the better term would be tax deferred because you do have to pay taxes on that money eventually, but the whole goal of an RRSP is investing money in there so you can bring your taxes down for that year. So what does this look like? Let's say you make $100,000 a year and you invest $10,000 into your RRSP that year. What ends up happening is the government only views your income for that year as $90,000 because they subtract whatever you invested into your RRSP. What that does is it lowers your tax bracket for that year and allows you to pay less in taxes when you have these high earning years. Now, another important thing to note, because this is the opposite of how the TFSA works, but when you withdraw money from your RRSP, you lose that contribution room forever. Now again, there's a bunch of rules and regulations on when and how you can withdraw this money from your RRSP, but we're going to go more in depth on that later. For now, all you need to know is that when you pull money out, you will lose that contribution room forever, whereas in your TFSA, you'll end up getting that contribution room back just the following year. So how do you know which account is right for you? Well, there is a lot that can go into that decision process, but the basics of it kind of look something like this. If you have a lower income or you're in the early years of your career, you probably want to prioritize your TFSA because there's no point in trying to bring down your tax bracket when you're not paying that much in taxes to begin with. My other recommendation for TFSA would be if you're trying to pull that money out within the foreseeable future, like if you're going to use it for the purchase of a house or a new car or something that you know is coming in the near future, you'd want to prioritize your TFSA because you're able to take that money out tax-free and you'll get that contribution room back. Now, I'd probably recommend an RRSP for people who know that the money they're investing, they're not going to need for a very long time. If you know the money that you're investing is not going to be needed for the purchase of a new home or for when you have kids or a car or anything like that, and this money can stay put for a very long period of time, you should probably go with the RRSP. I'd also recommend the RRSP for people who have really high income or they're in their peak earning years of their career. The whole idea is to invest into your RRSP now while you're paying a lot in taxes to bring your tax bracket down. And then when you go to pull the money out of your RRSP way later on in the future, your tax bracket is going to be way lower than it is now, and you're going to end up paying way less tax on that money. For example, would you rather pay 25 to 35% tax on $100,000 a year, or would you rather pay 10 to 20% tax on $100,000 a year? Seems pretty obvious to me. Last but not least, if you're a little unsure of which account you should be invested into, your TFSA is always the safer bet just because it allows a little bit more flexibility. By no means am I saying that you have to choose one of these accounts over the other. You can choose to invest into both, but there should be a prioritization of one of these accounts depending on where you are financially. I currently hold and invest into both of these accounts within my Wealthsimple, but right now I'm prioritizing my TFSA because that's where I am financially and makes most sense for me. But that's the beauty of finances, is you're able to stay on top of it, keep it in check, review it every once in a while, and make your finances adapt to whatever suits your life best. So if you know you want to invest into both of these accounts, but you're not sure which one you should prioritize right now, just ask yourself a couple of simple questions. What's your age? If you're above 35, you should probably start taking retirement a little bit more seriously. And if you're below your mid-30s, you probably have a couple more years left to prioritize that TFSA before you really start hammering home your RRSP. Do you need to lower your taxes? Are you currently paying a lot in taxes? Are you expecting your income to shoot up within the next couple of years? Are you in your peak earning years of your career? If so, you might want to focus on your RRSP to be able to bring that tax bracket down. Am I going to need this money in the near future? If you're planning on purchasing a home, a car, having kids, anything that's going to be really expensive in life, you'd probably want to prioritize that TFSA before transferring into your RRSP. So my advice would be to open both of these accounts and invest into both of them, but make sure you figure out which one you should be prioritizing right now, and then keep on top of it and keep it in check and figure out when you do need to make that move to start prioritizing the other one. And if you don't know where or how to open these accounts, it's super easy. My recommendation would be Wealthsimple. It's been the easiest one that I've seen, and it's worked for me and it's worked for many of my friends and family. So download Wealthsimple, make a profile, and it'll ask you which accounts you want to invest into. You select TFSA and RRSP, and you can get started investing into them literally today. So I know this video seems super basic, and that's kind of the purpose of it. I want to save all the nitty-gritty rules and regulations and diving deep into it for later. We're going to do separate videos on TFSA and RRSPs and even FHSAs, but those videos are going to come later. This video, I just wanted to highlight for you guys which portfolio you should be prioritizing today, but also emphasize that it's a good idea to be invested into both.
Just do it!
And if you haven't already, check out the recent video that I did where I go through my entire Wealthsimple portfolio and I show everything from every account, every holding, anything you could possibly know about my account is in that video. So if you haven't already, go check it out. And if this helped you at all, please consider liking and subscribing if you want more simple financial content like this. And yeah, that's about all there is for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, peace.